into the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the after show here on AfterBuzz TV for Prisoner. It's Throwback Thursday, and it took 12 episodes for us to get the 4 words that could best describe us as a panel. This harmonious, unmutual, rebellious, and reactionary. I think.
I don't think that's us.
Man, feeling the love. Way to start off on a positive note over there, Debbie
He's
Downer.
just jealous, that's all.
Yeah.
I included myself in it. See, right now you're being reactionary.
I'm actually being very calm and just stating a fact that you are being a downer.
No, that's not the
okay.
case
We can
at all.
just
That's actually a feeling.
That is the voice of Steph Z.
Hey guys, what's up? How you doing?
And we have Meredith Placco.
Hey, I am here doing things.
That's right.
Trying
and this
not to
is
be nuts.
the Prisoner After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. If you haven't already subscribed, what are you doing?
Come on!
No.
Hit that little button!
That's
It's
right.
just a little button.
It's right there. It
real
could be
easy.
up, it could be down. It's somewhere in the
be
vicinity.
over
of-
and
It
out.
should be a big button, then they can't miss it.
Well, then they can't see us. Hello.
Oh, okay.
So we break down each of the episodes of The Prisoner in a certain order, whatever order it is that we go in.
We try.
It will be spoiler filled at times, although we try to we try to only do things that we've known in the past. Meredith and I have seen. Steph C is new to the franchise, so she offers a fresh perspective.
So fresh and so clean.
And we hope we can change her mind today, because that's the episode
Change my mind.
That's the episode we're talking about today. A change of mind, episode 12.
Do you hope to change my mind?
From
Or do you
what? I know,
hope
like-
to- yeah. How do you want me to think, Phil? How would I be
I just
harmonious
want
with you?
just agree?
Would I do your laundry?
That's a start.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Well,
yeah, because if it was like the number 2 in this episode,
I
we'd want
know.
you to do the laundry.
Yeah. Do your laundry, make your dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Scratch
To be
your
fair,
feet.
I did have to get my own water ahead of time, so that
Good.
was not really fun.
Well, everyone has to pull their weight in the village.
Yeah, Phil.
I have a lot of weight to pull. Have you seen this gut?
I have
kidding.
Yeah.
actually the other day. I saw it in the bear.
All
In the
right,
flesh.
before this gets too off track, let's overall reactions to change of mind. Let's start with Steph Z. Always fresh to the panel.
Oh yeah, I actually again I really enjoy the episodes where at the end of the day he shows his somewhat spy tactics and outsmarts people. So this to me was a check in that box because some of the episodes don't do that. And when you guys first introduced me to this show, it was this old spy like cool show. So when I get that, which was the thing that attracted me first, of course, besides the fact of being on a panel with you two lovely people, it was that. So when that comes through as a whole, I'm happy. I'm
Very
a happy
good.
watcher,
Happy watch.
happy viewer,
Happy viewer.
whatever.
All right, Meredith.
I really like this episode because of all the topics it brought up. I mean, we're seeing a lot of like psychotropic drug mind alteration. We're seeing criticisms of McCarthyism, the concept of self-criticism, which is very big in communist countries. We'll talk. I want to talk a bit more about that later. But it really, for me, this episode kind of entrenched on a lot of how to control a population through various social and psychotropic methods, and I find that always to be fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, what I liked about this episode was that we've kind of seen various elements of this, but this is the first time really that the community at large is getting really involved rather than just sheep or rat-ish.
Yeah.
They're directly affecting the prisoner in a negative way.
But even then, they're still acting as sheep because they're acting
Right.
in accord with the village.
This is true, even though he tries to highlight, I am not of the committee, so on and so
Right.
forth. So, yeah, absolutely. All right, so here's the overview that we all know and love. Roger Park is the author or the screenwriter of this script, and this is the first script he's ever written. He wrote it when he was in his late 20s, so that's commendable. I thought it was a good script.
Beginner's luck. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, he went on to write 20 novels, and
No,
very
I'm told it was a joke. Maybe it was a bad joke, but it was a joke, and I thought it was funny. I think when you have people that right away do something good like this, it shows.
Yeah. Well, he took his brother is a psychiatrist, so he took the care to ask him a lot of questions. I mean, he's grown up with, obviously, his brother his whole life, but now to really study into that, it really paid off for the research that he did. You know, as you said, the hallucinogenics, the lobotomies and aversion therapies, all that really came to a play, and it played really well. And this was filmed right after It's Your Funeral, which was the last episode that we did. So therein is the continuation. We had a director, Roy Rossetti. He was fired after one day.
Oh.
Wow.
He was
All right.
rebellious, unmutual.
Yeah, McGoohan's a bit of a number 2 when it comes to this show.
But I kind of love that in the same sense. If you hire somebody and you're not getting what you want, to right away be able to know and your gut to tell you, like, we need to change this, that's commendable in a way. I mean, unless the guy just did something completely ridiculous. Do we know why he was fired?
I did not.
Okay.
I was not able to
because
find any further.
McGoohan's a bit of a control freak, I think.
Right, which,
Yeah.
but in that, look at what a great series he made
Yeah,
because of that. So
that's
I'm
true.
okay with that.
The female in today's episode, what's her number again? I just forget. There's so many numbers.
96? Was it 96?
No.
No.
80 something.
It was
83?
86.
86.
Okay.
So with her, she actually was asked how was it what was it like to work with McGoohan at this time period, and she said, you know what, he was nice. And she goes on to say that, when she was studying her lines and things like that, McGoohan said, everybody quiet down so she can study her lines. Now, obviously, if you're a crew member and you want to talk and just have fun, yeah that sucks. But guess what? For the betterment of the show, you want your actor to be as prepared as she can be, so shut up.
Right, and I
awesome.
feel like at the end of the day, too, people might say, oh, he's a jerk, this, that, and the other thing, but he probably kept it on, for the most part, on schedule, on time. When people are hard workers in situations where there's a lot of people that kind of want to have fun at work as well, you're always sought out to be the, whip cracker, so to speak.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, and she had such a different feel from a lot of other women in the show. I felt there was a lot more weight with her character, and she had to play, a much harsher woman, and I think it worked out.
Right.
Yeah. And by the way, for those of you saying, if you're not aware, McGoohan hid his name under the pseudonym Joseph Surf, meaning increaser slave. That's what that means. The two names.
Increaser slave.
Because Joseph comes from the Hebrew word increaser, and surf is a slave.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Wow.
Meaning behind that one too.
Very deep, Phil.
All right, so let's get in the discussion. The inciting incident. What did you guys think of it? Because he's just working out, and there's two dudes come, and it's like, what are you doing?
For me,
Go.
I promise it will be my only tangent of the show. Maybe not. Have either one of you ever seen the movie American Anthem?
No.
Oh my God, it's a great gymnastics movie. And it was almost, it came after The Prisoner, but it was literally that scene of like him in the woods doing this, like working out by himself. I had no idea two guys were going to come out for him. I thought it was just his daily routine. He's working out. He didn't seem like he was trying to escape. He was just minding his business. And then we got these two guys.
Yeah, who those two guys are being disharmonious
Yes.
to this poor man just working
And
out in the
unusual.
forest. So,
Absolutely, and that's the whole thing. It's like, okay, you were disharmonious to him,
yeah.
not the other way around at all.
Well, but if you think about it, ooh, you're gonna like this one. If you think about it, that's pretty much a amazing example of religion, because a lot of people think they're supposed to, like, if I have certain beliefs and you don't believe what I believe, then I'm gonna be disharmonious to you. But I'm being disharmonious to you because I think you're being disharmonious to something else. So it's kind of like you're doing the same thing.
Yeah, but it isn't up until you take an action against that.
But most people do by excluding, by a lot. There's
I
lots.
don't care if I'm excluded because that's my choice, right? But if you literally come into my circle and say you're stupid, you're wrong, this and
Which
that,
a
like,
lot of
you need-
people do
Yeah.
because of religion.
But
They do.
Look at this on a broader sense of taking it from the religion to a political standpoint. We know number 6 is a dissenter. We know he doesn't fall in line. And this is, a tactic like this is something you've seen in societies, specifically communist societies, where you have a political dissenter that is ostracized from the community, is put into a position where they're made to be the criminal or what's the opposite word of victim?
Example.
The example.
Right.
It's not the word I was looking for, but that works too. And what these two men are doing, they're coming in to incite an incident that will ultimately end up with number 6, where he's going to be to be judged. Yeah, they're instigating it and to be judged.
By the way, there's a great movie called Mr. Majestic where all this guy wants to do is work on his melon crop, and just so many guys just mess with his.
Oh my god!
And everything that he tries to, he's like, guys, I just want to pick my melons. Can you please leave me alone? And they just won't leave him alone. And he's deemed all these things. So the 4 things are disharmony. By the way, I wanted to kind of we'll each take one. Steph, so you can take the longest one because I don't feel like reading today.
Oh no!
I wanted to give definition to these things. So disharmonious, lacking in harmony.
You want me to? Unmutual. A word coined on the TV show The Prisoner. Main character number 6 was once declared unmutual and disharmonious for not obeying the rules and for not honoring his obligations as a citizen of the village, his prison. In other words, an unmutual was a bad member of the village society because he was a disruptive influence, refusing to join in or play by the rules. Which I don't know if I believe, because he's done that at some point. Also, to be classed as an unmutual meant a citizen would be shunned by other citizens until he conformed or became mutual. If that didn't work, other citizens would eventually take it upon themselves to correct the unmutual's behavior with increasing levels of violence. Can be used as a noun, adjective, or insult.
I like how they made up a word for this.
That's great.
Well, I feel like it's not necessarily true by definition, though, because at certain times he does participate. Maybe it's, half, but it's not. He's not completely resisting. If this would have been maybe the 2nd or 3rd episode, sure. But now I feel like he does, in some sense, participate. Again, it's not full participation, willing and happy, but he has been. Do you guys not feel that way? You're both looking at me weird.
No, well, I think commitment and commitment matters, right? So if he's 90% committed, whatever it is.
Yeah, I just look at this as its own. I mean, regardless of what he has and hasn't been prior to this point, this is this number 2's ploy
against him.
Yeah, against him.
It.
So he's recreating the world they live in, essentially. Which is something I've noticed as the show progresses and on this viewing, is that each number 2 rewrites the rules of the village.
Yeah.
Rebellious, refusing to obey rules or authority or to accept normal standards of behavior as dress or politics, or etc. Sorry, I skipped down.
So obviously we would say the prisoner is not rebellious in this opening scene.
No.
He's just doing his own thing.
Yeah.
Although, dress code-wise, everyone's got the stripes all the time. He has kind of very plain shirt.
They don't really address that, though.
No.
It's almost like they're keeping it that way so that they know he's somewhat different, and he hasn't maybe conformed, maybe because he's unmutual. He hasn't conformed yet to this exact prisoner-style sweater.
Yeah.
Would you like me to read the last one, or you got it, Phil?
You can read it.
Oh, geez. Reactionary, relating to, marked by, or favoring reaction, especially ultra-conservative in politics. Initial council meeting.
No, that's
the next.
That's the next topic.
Oh, I thought it was a big one
there's
again.
no
That's what I was
space,
trying to like.
Well, he's definitely reactionary. We see that when he's, when you see the self-criticism happening prior to his the council meeting, and how he reacts to that, and how he always reacts to the council or anyone. He's very contrary.
I do have to say, I think this happened before. Did it happen before when he went in and saw the other people?
The council from what?
That's
Free for all?
No. The council is when he goes in and he sees the one guy in the room with the TV screen and he's deemed unmutual.
Yeah, but there's the scene before he meets with the council where there's the guy standing and being like, so he's this citizen stands up and he's reciting things that he's hearing on the loudspeaker,
right?
And it's what that is, and that's a perfect form of self-criticism, which I've referenced a couple times, and I was explained to Phil beforehand. So what that is you see this a lot. Stalin, Russia, China, Cuba, and especially in the Khmer Rouge, where a member of society, or even in specifically with the Khmer Rouge, they'd have public self-criticisms where people would stand up and denounce the things that they did poorly that day. It could be everything from like, I forgot to change the water in the prisoner's toilet section, or, I did not think kindly of our dear leader today. And it's a way to control the public to get them to, one, publicly acknowledge what they've done wrong in a way that everyone will kind of admit that, like, we're not perfect, but then to hope in terms that you don't make that mistake again.
See, well, it's interesting to me because, I know that this maybe was not used in a positive way, but I feel like that is a method that could be positive.
And in terms of neuroscience, it is. It's actually looked at that several, like, in the neuroscience area, it's actually said that people who are self-critical and engage in daily self-criticisms tend to be better people overall, but there's like a fine line where it becomes controlling versus cathartic.
Yeah, and I think that's that. I wrote, what's the difference between a 12-step program versus a totalitarian government? Because
I'm not that familiar with a 12-step program.
AA, right? Where
I know about it, but I don't. Unless you go through it, I feel like it's hard for you to, from the outside, know exactly what that.
I haven't been through it, but basically, we've kind of seen it from what we've seen on TV or other stuff, and I'm making a little bit more light of it than obviously I should be, but it's you say, like, you admit I am an alcoholic, then you admit your faults, right? And so by admitting these things, then you can hope to change, but you have to make sure that you can admit certain things and you say certain things as they. Obviously, it's not verbatim like it was in this sense, but there are certain things that you have to be willing to admit about yourself.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like too. I don't know. For me, and in my history, my personal life, my business, owning a business life, I feel like two of the most powerful things that one can say is, "I don't know," and "I was wrong." And I feel like a lot of people aren't. What we do is we place blame on all the, like, we just throw blame around. And it's really interesting what happens when something goes wrong and you're with a room of people and everyone thinks they're going to blame the other person. If you just claim fault, it's like everyone has their weapons out and they all just drop. And so I feel like it's a freeing thing to be able to do that. So, I'm sure there is a fine line, but I do feel like there is a freeing thing of being like, man, I screwed up.
Yeah, I think it's different when a government is controlling and forcing you to do this versus you as an individual.
It's just, it's unfortunate that this isn't used in a way that could be.
But it has to be honest, right? It can't be the negation, like, because I could totally be like, Steph C, I totally messed up, man. I know I owe you like probably $5,000 or something. I messed up. I owe you the money. I don't have it. I'm sorry. Right. And it's like, okay, that's a bunch of BS.
Yeah, but
I'm trying to think of other examples. That was the best one I could come up with at the moment.
No, but what I'm saying is there's something more powerful that if you did owe me $5,000 and you were supposed to give it to me today and you didn't, there's something more powerful of being like, I'm sorry, I just didn't.
But again,
I
it
don't
has
know
to be
what,
honest. It has to be.
That's what I'm saying. It has to be honest.
It can't be sorrow masked as Or
it can't be feeling like there's so many things that are masked by emotions, and the emotions that people feel insecure. That's why they have to make excuses rather than just admitting they're human like everybody else and being like, I screwed up.
I'll give you the alternate, right? This is the more positive way of looking at it. A lot of people say I wish, instead say I will. You know what I mean? Because hey, everyone like
that's like saying don't say try because you don't try, you do.
Well, there you go. Fine.
Yeah.
You know what?
And someday is not a day of the week.
You should try.
That didn't make any sense.
I don't know. Why you gotta criticize me?
I'm not criticizing you.
I'm trying to power up the people by saying don't wish, try.
Right? Am I doing it?
No.
Let's have a mediator. I always get blamed. I always get called on mutual.
That's why you're on that side of the table.
I know. I'm always the one in trouble.
Maybe like we're the majority, you're the minority, so you're the one being ostracized.
By the way, No, because this relates, right?
Yes.
There's Ketchup on Silicon Valley. There's a great moment in there where one of the guys, he's a 1%er, and he says, you know what? You guys ostracized the 1%. You know who else ostracized Jewish people that were kind of a minority? The Jews. And he goes off on this.
I know that guy. I loved that scene so much.
Exactly, and he goes off on this whole tangent about how the 1% could actually be treated more harshly than the Jews during the Holocaust. And I say it with laughter because it's such a amazing scene in terms of how it's written and the logic that it takes, and that's just pure comedy, and you just gotta go with it. But that came to mind, so check that out too.
All right.
All right.
That was episode 2 of this season, by the way.
There you go. Yeah, probably. Also, initially, the council chamber had people talking, but they changed it to a loudspeaker, possibly a computer. They related that more to the general, perhaps, all these computers, advancement of technology. You're not even, when you go to a council chamber, you don't even speak to anybody. So I thought that's where that came from, ultimately.
And that just seemed like so much commentary on what was going on in America at the time with the witch hunt, the communist witch hunt trials and McCarthyism, where you have, I mean, they even said, here's a council of people, and they're in the number 6 is like, who, what are you going off of? Like, what have you studied of me? And they're like, oh, we're just going off of number 2's files of you. It's sitting there saying that you as a person, we're not going to look at your crimes or your mental instability. We're just going to go off some other random person's accusations of you. And then to switch to that computer, it takes it even one step further from humanity and one step further from the people, where it's a blind accusation at a person in hopes of, labeling them as a dissident. And I just found that.
God forbid they judge you based on you as the character through emotion and observation.
Yeah. I found it very interesting when they were showing the other people that, you had number 93, who was the one deemed unmutual. And then you had number 42, who was outside waiting for severe depression. Both have numbers that either add or subtract to make number 6.
Ooh.
There you go.
Just saying. 9 minus 3, 4 plus 2.
You know what? If I ever come up with a TV show, I'm just going to label everyone numbers, and Stephanie's just going to go off the wall and be, what does it mean?
It's got to mean something. I even you're gonna laugh at me, and I stopped myself when there's a scene when a flock of birds flies over.
Oh, the geese.
Yeah, and I was like, should I count the birds?
Yes, they released a set number of birds.
You never know, man. I didn't count them. But I wanted to.
That's why Roy was fired. Roy had 12 geese. We needed 14.
Yeah. Bird killer.
Oh, my God.
No, we added a geese.
No.
Oh, whatever.
He just couldn't get enough of them. All right. Totally not true, by the way.
No.
All right. So the prisoner number 6 is told that he is... he's not quite declared mutual. At this point, we need further investigation, but eventually the picture that we're seeing, it is of him eventually being, unmutual. For right now, it's further investigation than they. I couldn't find the tally ho at this moment in time, so that's why I pulled up this one.
Did you guys think though the picture that we saw before this, the
council meeting?
Yeah, the council meeting. It was very much like a poker table.
Yeah.
With a pit boss inside.
That's because it's all a game to them.
Yeah, I was very much poker table, and it was interesting that number 6, when he's in the middle, he stays in the middle until number 2 comes in, so he's kind of has a little bit more power.
Yeah, and they have to remove the little table piece to let him out. I thought that was so.
Okay.
Sorry.
That was
and they're wearing their stupid top hats again, so they're important. Do you remember from the previous episode?
Oh, absolutely.
I hate those stupid.
And remember when it wasn't the general, but it was the other one. He came in. I think it was the general.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, came in with the top hat.
That's how you know they're important.
Well,
See, that's all part of the dress code. It's part of being not rebellious. Normal standards of behavior and dress.
Yep.
So, okay, is social norm what society deems, or or how do you get what you want? Is one of my questions upon further investigation of whether or not number 6 is unmutual. Maybe it's not greatly written because everyone's quiet. I guess the question is who decides these things? How can you be an individual but still fit into society? This is the first for me, right?
Money. Are you talking?
Oh, I'm sorry, I got distracted by Flava.
We're not on Public Enemy number 6 yet, but
I literally wrote I love you, Phil. I literally wrote song Public Enemy.
Oh my God.
Enter with one.
Okay, so going back to your question.
Yes.
It in the case of the village, it is the government, the ergo society, that deems what you should have, like what's expected of you. There is no, we've already established, there's no individuality in the village. It's an illusion. If you have any of it, it's what they want you to think you have.
In there. I mean,
Yeah.
in today, in like actual society, I think it's not just the government.
I think
It's more-
it's social media kind of in a way.
Well, but
deems-
social media, I mean, in the realm of the world, social
Yeah.
media has only existed strongly in the past 5 years.
True.
So
Well,
I
I was
can't.
thinking like in like today, like if we're like
Today,
yeah.
yes. But
Yeah,
I feel
I
like
think-
it's money, because money, if it all actually comes back to money, because if you think about how you fit in, it's by the things you have, the way you look, which are all money, and it's all fake. But that's, it's funny to me, like when I used to work in the fashion business, it was just so funny to me how these trends and the what's in, how important that is for people to feel a part of society, of what's in and what's going on. But it's just like a bunch of people like me that are designers that are like, hey man, this stuff looks cool, let's sell it.
But do you as the designer dictate that takes off, or is it some member of society like
No, it's
you
the
know?
designer, because what I make, the stores then buy,
But
then that's the
for
thing you
something-
want.
But just because it's in
I mean, a
stores
lot-
doesn't mean it's popular. But say you take
But if
the
it's no, but I
Kardashian.
disagree with you
Yeah.
100%, because if it is in the right stores,
Yeah.
then it means it's popular. Like
That's
the fact
true.
that I sold Saks, Neiman's, Blooming's, Nordstrom's, like the people with more money, more
Yeah.
prestige go to those stores.
yeah, it's always
then
the-
they buy that thing, then they're photographed in that thing, then
And
the rest of the world wants
okay,
that thing.
All right, I can acquiesce to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of. I think there's a couple things, right? So it's you want to have the platform to,
Right.
influencers.
Yeah.
So it's a
Right.
combination of those three, and beyond the money point, you choose. There's different
And
verticals of what you choose. It could be, beauty, so looking good. It could be, if your thing is like you value intelligence, whatever you set a value for that you want to achieve.
Yeah.
Then now you're always forever going to be beholden to that standard of whatever it is you think, and ultimately it's going to be almost unattainable.
Well, see, I would disagree a little bit, because I feel like that 70% of people don't set their own values, like you're saying. Like people don't pick.
Not consciously, but subconsciously they do.
No, I don't think they set them themselves. I think they're subconsciously influenced by exactly what
Yeah.
you said, influencers, be it designers,
Everything.
trendsetters. What we see on television, what we see on the internet.
And that all comes back to money,
Yeah.
because people that are in some sort or have some sort of platform, they're paid to wear their shirt, they're paid to watch their hat, their headphones, everything that they have that's supposed to be cool. It's maybe not their own choices. It's some sort of sponsorship deal.
Yeah, and that's been since the dawn of media.
Right.
It's been like that. I mean, prior to radio and television and the internet, trends were set by the royalty.
Yeah.
The people within the courts.
Right. And you even think about like movies and stuff like that. A lot of great movies don't get the press that other movies do. There's like, movies like Fruitvale Station and movies like underground, that's so underground, but movies that actually mean something. Shows like how we were just talking about High Profits, shows that are really educational. They don't get as much media push because they're not as entertaining. Therefore, people don't get out the knowledge and education to make their own decisions.
And the same thing can be said about politics. The people we vote for are the ones with the most money to spend on advertising.
yeah. I think money.
There's 50 candidates each election.
Yep.
Oh, man. All right.
Right.
So there you go. Question and answer.
Now, can we go to that next picture, please? Because I'm.
All right, fine. We'll talk
Yeah.
about number 6.
Public enemy
number 6.
Mama.
I brought up. We're looking at a picture of Flava Flav and of course Public Enemy, the band. This is one of my favorite bands, actually. That's one of the reasons. Other than that, I never really had a real agenda.
I'm impressed.
To insert them
Yeah.
in. Maybe it starts conversation though.
I got to see them not too long ago
What?
at the House of Blues. Within the past year and a half, 2 years, they played like a benefit show. Amazing.
That's awesome.
It was
all you gotta
amazing.
say?
I mean, I don't want to rub it in because you weren't there, but it was amazing. And I feel like
What's your
Flava
favorite
Flav-
song? What's your favorite song?
911's a joke in your town. Get up, get down. 911's a joke in your town. What's yours?
I like He Got Game or
Yeah.
what's Harder Than You Think.
Yeah.
Harder Than You Think is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But look at this guy. He's rebellious according by definition, and I think that'd be really fun too. We should like name a couple people and by definition what it.
Well, do you know why he? This is kind of off tangent, but we will tie it into all of this because it's just an example of sort of rebellious.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Flavor Flav, you know why he has the clock?
I do not.
Come on, instead of Z, you call yourself. The time is now for the black man to rise. That's why he has the clock.
Know that.
That's fantastic.
I heard that time is now, but I never knew it was a like a political type situation.
I mean, here's the thing. You know what Chuck D stands for, correct?
Oh yeah.
No, definitely not. But
I'm sorry. I'll be honest. So when we're talking about like intellectual rap music, I tend to go more KRS-One. And that's NWA. That's kind of my yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, they're making a great movie about all this.
I'm so excited about that. The NWA biopic. I'm so excited.
No, they're making another one too called. Is it the same one? It's called Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah, Straight Outta Compton. Yeah, but
it's mostly about that. Yeah, but it will talk about all this stuff.
I'm so excited for that.
Yeah.
So I obviously this is different. This kind of gives it a race to an argument of who's a public enemy and things like that, and the way society views public enemies, and that should be a great movie. And if you really look at kind of Public Enemy, it is Chuck D in terms of what his message really is. Yes, there's some violence to it and an aspect of that, but the core message, like if you read the lyrics, some of it's like poetry.
Yeah, no, I mean, and full disclosure, like here I am, a white girl from the Southeast, talking about, especially specifically West Coast rap music. I can't obviously identify, but what a lot of young black men and women went through and are still going through in the times, you see the violence reflected in the music, but that's a violence that's so inherent in their culture, not between each other, but what they had to face with, outside forces, be it white law enforcement and stuff. So, I mean, people talk a lot about the reaction and like, oh, we shouldn't listen to this music because there's so much violence. It's like, but this is a day-to-day life for them, be it between gang wars or even with, the police. And to tie it back into the prisoner being regarded as a public enemy, or any person regarded as a public enemy, it's you put that stigmatism on someone to decrease their value, decrease the value of their words. Right. And I find that actually a really great reference.
I feel like, and I feel like, the music, especially of some of these people too, you got Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine too, doing, certain things. It's an outlet for them. It's let's talk about it instead of partake in it. And I know it happens too sometimes, but I feel like, there are people that have a really good message. And again, the message is not something that society might want us to read, learn, or be educated by. So therefore, certain things like this are looked upon, in a different way.
Yeah, and I don't know necessarily that number 6 is creative, but he's creative sort of sometimes in the way he goes about doing things, so you could say that. But it's interesting. I wrote down many creative people tend to get diagnosed as crazy or insane, right? So Public Enemy, they're just whatever. They're hooligans and so on and so forth. And in this particular episode, just kind of being deemed insane, the stigma that it holds, and how you're by society now. Again, you're lesser just because you suffer or you're looked upon as different. Right. Which is not fair.
Well, a lot of times through history, people who were, be it politically outspoken or just different, were deemed insane and put into asylums. So I mean, or we did start to see behavioral correction in the 30s, 40s through 60s. So I mean, that's it's a great commentary on a lot of things that were very prevalent both in British and Western society as a whole.
Let me ask you this: what does it say about? And one of the things that I see on a daily basis, people just aren't educated in the way, and I don't mean that from a school standpoint, but no one really takes the time to go through and say why something's wrong, why you shouldn't do something, really creating kind of mentorship. And so what does it say about a society when your first means of correcting behaviors is throw someone, whether it be jail or certainly like to have them lobotomized, right? That you couldn't break through as a society, that you gave up that quickly.
It's fear.
That was fear, yeah. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's fear. And we see that every day. We see it every day. You turn on the news, any news station, all they're trying to do is instill fear. trying to instill fear because they don't want the people that are quote unquote more creative or out of the box thinkers. They don't want them to have some sort of platform because they're scared that people would buy into it because that's what's really happening.
Yeah, I mean, well, maybe we don't have. It's funny. You see, some people label the government as what's trying to here in America is trying to control and oppress people, but I see it more corporate America as the one that is really that we're beholden to.
But the government and corporate America are hand in hand.
Yeah, they are. But I see it's more furthering corporate America than our own government personally.
Well, yeah, I mean, 6 corporations on all the news stations.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and just like, and how many government officials have ties to their own companies that are making, what was it?
Donations to their campaign.
Well, not just that, but who was
Enron?
Bush's vice president? What was that?
Cheney?
Cheney. And his ties to all the big oil companies.
Enron?
Enron, yeah.
No, it was, it began with an H.
Oh, God. I should.
Halliburton.
Halliburton.
Oh, yeah, not it.
Yeah. You see, through media and through, just popular culture to an extent, the population of America kind of being controlled.
Right.
And like you said, through fear. And that's the thing is that you have anyone who stands out, we label them crazy. Sometimes, you know what? There are people I see talk on the news, and I'm like, no, that person's crazy. They think Obama was born in Kenya. They also think he's a Muslim, and they also think that we shouldn't allow anyone who's not white in our borders. Okay, I think I might be able to be like, I don't agree with that person, and that might be crazy. But then you see,
Right.
Huh?
I said right.
Yeah, but then you see normal, like people who just have ideas of like we were talking about earlier, opening up medical marijuana for a more evaluation use, and those people are deemed crazy.
Right.
Sorry, tangent.
No,
it's
all good. All good. One of the things, so kind of tying it in there, number 6, what I found interesting about his interaction with number 2, about the moment where he number 6 deemed himself public enemy number 6, is the fact that number 2 again says, I'm not a part of the committee. And it goes back to Steph's point about like corporations and the government are kind of separating themselves in that way from a public perspective, but not necessarily.
Yeah.
Right.
It's always been that way.
Yeah.
So you can say what you want, but you're involved.
Right.
And we see that to be true as the investigation grows further. What do you guys think of the first form of therapy? They're reading poetry, et cetera, and then turns into a mob.
I don't think it would turn into a mob if number 6 wasn't there to incite them.
Right.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But that's the point. He was there and he was
Yeah.
being disharmonious.
Right.
So.
I mean, I think the same thing. I think it was an interesting way to show what was going on, but it wasn't, for me, it wasn't, I don't know, I didn't.
Yeah, I actually didn't think much of that scene.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a scene to further getting
a transitional scene.
Transitional scene, yeah.
Okay. So how about this? Let's talk about the fact that the council is made up of males and the appeals court, or whatever we're going to call them, is made up of women.
And number 2 hates women.
Stupid woman.
Yeah, he was throwing so much shade on the
86?
on 86, and I couldn't
See, was I the only one? Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No.
Was I the only one that thought for a split second, that 86 was on 6's side?
I mean, they all pretend to be initially.
Yeah.
No, but for real, like at first when we see the procedure happening and she kind of turns it off, I'm like, oh, she's not gonna do it. And then you see it cuts to a scene of the 2 of them, and I felt like she was gonna tell him, I didn't really do it. Just fake it with me.
Yeah, but then she tries to
Very quickly. I lost that thought, but I had for a split second. I had that thought.
I think we all do because we've been conditioned to think that way.
Right.
But I think because when she exclaimed to number 2 that I don't think this worked, and he's like, no, look, he's so docile, and she's like, I don't, I'm not too sure here. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Knowing maybe upon first viewing, I maybe thought that. Knowing what I do know about the show, and knowing that at the very least the history of the past episodes, it's the fact of I certainly have to be very cautious because apart from the prisoner, no one else, everyone's kind of operated in fear. And so as much as they may want to be rebellious, reactionary, unmutual, and disharmonious, they ultimately choose not to out of fear.
I also found it interesting is once he switched the T's and she was drugged, he finds her about, talking about number 2, and she's like, no, I'm higher than number 2. Like I thought that was really telling, and I wonder if there was something more to, we always know number 2s are replaceable, that, but we just assume that number 1 is the highest level, but I think, there's a whole group of people outside of the village that still exert authority over him.
I have a question.
Yes.
And we don't see, is there any other person that we see continuously in each episode? No. Right? It's always different people.
Sometimes we see like 2.
We're gonna have 2 be number and the butler.
The butler. I was just gonna say we see the butler, and we've seen the chess player guy referenced.
That was the only one.
Yeah,
okay.
But the butler.
Let me just, what do you guys think? Speaking of the butler, kind of a side tangent from what we're talking about. How is their relationship forming? Because they look into each other's eyes. And we know that McGoohan brought him on last minute because he liked his look and he wanted the character in there. Does it go beyond that? Because there's always like a smirk between the two of them.
Yeah.
Like, I know what you're up to. Hey, buddy, I feel like whatever it is. What's your take on this developing relationship, if there is one?
I think it's just a knowing, an understanding of the 2 constants that are always there. Even if the butler is acting in the interest of the village, he's a silent. Character, not just in terms that he doesn't really speak, but I mean, he's just, he's almost all-knowing because he is the only one that we see. So I think it's an interesting relationship of, I think they both know, and I think he knows that the prisoner is never going to break.
Mm-hmm.
I never put any thought into it, I'm not going to lie. Okay. He's just kind of there for me.
So to the question of who's higher, is it number 2 or is it number 86? I think it more so means that sometimes, unfortunately, there's people in a position of power that don't actually know what it is. Like, I don't think this guy even has... It's one thing to not know how to do something, but when you have no idea of the concept of how to enact it, then you're really powerless.
Right.
Huh.
And that's what I think because even though he says stupid woman, well, why aren't you there doing it? Well, number 1, you can't gain his trust. Number 2, you're not skilled enough to do it yourself. Mm-hmm. It's not like you did the procedure and then whatever else. So
number 3, you didn't know it was happening right away. It took him a minute to realize it too.
Yeah.
Like number 6 is completely, clearly smarter than all of them because he figured it out. He sees it. Like they're supposedly filming him the whole time. How did they not see the switcheroony? I love saying switcheroony.
Yeah, they're not really quick in the village.
No.
They're
even though they're supposed to be, seeing everything.
Yeah.
But they don't.
But they don't.
All right, so let's talk about. So we're kind of hinting towards it. Let's talk about the various therapies. Aversion therapy. We see that with one of the other characters and Unmutuals being flashed on the screen, and number 2's face comes up. But then, of course, we get the lobotomy, quote unquote, of our prisoner. So there's the picture of the procedure.
Yeah.
And I figure you guys gotta have some opinion on lobotomies.
I think it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's an outdated practice, and I think even at the height when they were giving lobotomies, I think, the science wasn't there to support it, and they were just doing it to make people vegetables and complacent. So I found it interesting that they would go this route. I think, it was well played Village, make him think he had a lobotomy, and even coming out of it, he, there's a lot to be said about mind over matter. And if he even believed for a second until he started to realize, wait a second, there's no scar here, there's no nothing here. Also, a Band-Aid wouldn't cover a lobotomy scar, just saying.
Yeah.
Not that I know firsthand, but I'm just,
Yeah, I feel... Yeah, I mean, it's out of date. It's something. And I mean, again, this was, 40, 45 years ago, whatever. But I feel like, there's way better, different ways that could have been more believable for me.
Yeah, I mean, it was used as a scare tactic.
And it didn't work. And the fact that they would go to the extreme to fake that, to think that it would work, was just like, what are they trying to do here? Like, you would know if you... I mean, I feel like you would know if someone tried to give you a lobotomy and you woke up and you felt the same or not, you know what I mean? Like, how do you not know?
I don't know. Let's test it.
And let's do it, Phil.
Yeah, get over here.
Head on the table. I got a pen.
I know.
Going in.
I know if it's gonna like we need a victim.
You.
Steven.
Let's get
Okay.
Steven. No, I'm just
All right. Steven, he's one of our other producers.
yeah.
Okay. So then what I liked about this episode, we got back to the idea of trying to figure out why number 6 resigned, and we played the cat and mouse game. It finally got back to that first and foremost. So, I there's a picture of he's so. They all get so angry, right? They all start off so calm, and then it's like, "Why did you resign?"
But we did get for me, I thought, a key piece of information that, like, they said it was too early or something. And he was like, I didn't want to at that time. Mm-hmm. No one else called that?
What
he said, what number 6's answer was. He gave some sort of answer. He said, let me find it to see the exact quote, but it was...
but I know what you're saying. It was misinterpreted, though, because he's like, what? Keep
he
going.
said it wasn't time. It was asking about the resignation, and he said it wasn't time. He said, "Why did you?" He was asking, like, "Why did you resign? Why did you do it then?" And he said, "Number 6 says it wasn't time." So that made me believe that he was forced to resign, which happens a lot when something else bigger happens, and someone says, "Well, you're going to resign," rather than us firing you.
Oh, I took it as it's not my time to talk about it right now.
Yeah, that's what I took it as. No way would he even unconsciously.
But he said it wasn't time. It's not time. His words were, it wasn't time.
Yeah, but he's done that in the past of like, tell me, it wasn't time to get married, and just kind of doing it that way. Like he'll just go off on he'll make himself be crazy.
I'm just
Because that's what
saying,
they
it
want it
stuck
to be.
out to me
Yeah.
because that was the only thing they were talking about, and there was nothing else said. There was no other tangent afterwards.
So he was forced out, is what you're gonna.
Well, I feel like he was maybe trying to make him realize, or he was, still in the place of him not knowing, like, should I talk about this? Should I not? I don't know. I feel like for me, it was like, perked me up, like, he's going to say something? Or it made me believe that maybe his resignation wasn't all on his own accord.
It perks up number 2 every time,
Yeah.
too.
Perk him up. Percolator.
They get so
The
excited.
percolator.
That'll get the blood flowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, yo.
But it wasn't time for number 2 to learn number 6's secrets, was it?
No, but that's why we went and we had a public confession. That's what we always need to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, we did.
Which ultimately leads to the last part. Validity of mental illness doesn't matter as long as there supposedly is one.
Right.
Yeah. Again, we'll just label you.
Yeah, because it's easier.
Yep.
It's doing it. But you can have all the verification you want in the world, but who the hell really knows?
Well,
Right.
it's interesting that they use mental illness in this case because it is a stigma. It still is to this day. I mean, we don't.
But there's the fact of people with higher IQs, right? Mm-hmm. They're just so out in their own world that they're insane. Well, okay, but he has an IQ of 200, so are you saying that just because he's too smart that his intelligence doesn't matter because he's like it goes beyond just anyway. I'm frustrated because I don't know how to say it, and it is what it is. Thoughts
About mental illness?
Yeah, and just the way people get labeled and how to diagnose it, perhaps, or how
Well,
it shouldn't get diagnosed.
I mean, number one, I feel like the first problem is in the term mental illness. I mean, illness to me has a negative connotation. And I think that that's how we start going into this conversation, was a negative connotation that there's something wrong rather than there's something different. So I feel like for me, that's kind of, people think the way they think. There's a brain, there's a lot of stuff, there's a chemical, there's a lot of stuff that's unknown still to this day. So to classify it as something that you would put in, like, when I think of illness, I think of cancer, I think of, things that debilitate people. Like, some mental illnesses, yes, can. I'm not saying they can't, but I feel like there's a lot of ways to, for some people, maybe help or treat or do some education about this. So I don't from the
Yeah.
beginning, I feel like there's a negative stigma, and I feel like it starts exactly with the name. Like there's not like people that have, a lot of these people, they can get some chemical or something that can help,
But so can an illness. I can have a cold, which is an illness, and I can take, well, not a cold, but I can have sinus infection. I think I can take medicine for. I do think
Right, but it's
classifying it as an illness is it because you have the mental thing. It makes it almost seem untreatable. But I think that comes more with social stigma versus the naming.
Yeah.
Right, but if something isn't like so, the difference for me is like a cold or something like that is something that comes into your body that didn't exist and messes with your body and then tries to leave. If this is something that it's created in their body, it's the way that their body is made up, then it's just the same as someone that maybe doesn't have an arm or a leg that works properly and they get something for, what I mean? Like, I feel like there's room for voids to be filled and things to happen.
I think that's why they start to call
it's like
it
you don't catch this.
Yeah.
I feel like with a cold or other illnesses.
Well, you don't catch cancer, and that's born in your body.
True.
I think,
but they don't say, and again, even in that, they don't say cancer illness.
No,
so
you're right.
maybe for me,
I
I
think
shouldn't
that's
have said
why
that.
some doctors are using disorder versus illness when they talk about it.
But again, that's saying something is wrong. Like some people that have been classified as crazy or having a quote unquote mental illness are some of the most brilliant people that have created some of the most brilliant things for us in the world. And without them, the world wouldn't be the way it is.
And I think, and that could be a case where society or government is labeling someone that they don't want in that, or it could be that there is a correlation to highly creative people suffering from things like anxiety disorder or depression, which is it's a thing. It's something you have to live with, and you can either choose to medicate yourself or you can work within it. I think the difference is when it comes to some mental things, things like schizophrenia notwithstanding, you have an option where you can either just take a pill and hope it works, or you can actively work.
I understand all that,
it.
but I'm saying, like, even in that, like, people that have anxiety disorder, like, why does it have to be disorder? Why does it not just they deal with anxiety?
That's
like
fair.
changing
Yeah.
our term, changing the way we think, changing the way we put things out, our energy about it, the way we put it out into the world. I think are the first steps of changing stigma about certain things.
I completely agree.
By the way, in terms of mental suffrage, here's the, like, some of it. What's interesting to me in this day and age, like, a lot of it's self-inflicted, right? You can have anxiety. You can have social media anxiety brought on by you. Like, you don't have to participate in these various things, but you choose to do it. I don't have my weekly bring everyone else down speech.
Oh, I'm shocked.
I kind of had an out-of-the-box theory that was kind of maybe on the lines of Steph Z, but okay, you want me to say it?
No.
Okay.
You
I
can
won't.
if you want to.
No, I won't.
Okay.
It sounds like you guys now want me to.
No, say
No.
it, Phil. We want to hear it.
Okay, so the theory was, like, if you are to believe in God, imagine if God's out there making, like, these quote-unquote insane people, right? And then we just keep persecuting him and whatever. He's like, well, these people just stop. I'm trying to give them, like, the next Messiah.
Right. Mm-hmm. I totally thought you were gonna, like, try and attack me. That's why I was like, no, I don't want you to do it. But no, that's a great thought. It is, because we're scared of things we don't know. But in essence, things we don't know could bring us something better than what we have. Yeah. But we're scared to experience that.
All right, last thoughts on a change of mind. And the biggest question, did we change anyone's mind? We brought no information to this whatsoever. If you wanted information, you didn't get it.
I think maybe we did.
All right.
I think maybe we changed people's minds to continue watching our show.
Yay.
Or, if you're a first-time viewer, definitely should continue.
There it is.
Anything else?
Just, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm kind of like, no, it was good. I actually have no extra commentary this week.
Wow.
Good job, yeah.
All right, guys. If there's anything that we missed, or you want us to talk about a little bit further that you found interesting, there's obviously interaction. You can write in the comments section. You can tweet these guys. I am Steph Z for Steph Z.
Yeah, with an F. IAMSTEF. Please write me. I'd love to talk more. Keep the conversation going.
That's right. And Meredith Placco.
At mplacco. And yes, I do. I talk on Twitter at least twice a week. I dedicate just to answering people on Twitter. So please chat at me. I like that.
And for more high art discussion, highbrow discussion, check out their high
Profits.
High Profits After Show here on AfterBuzz
Yes,
TV.
you can see it right before this one at 11 o'clock on Thursdays. High Profits. It's a show about the legalization of marijuana in the United States. Very interesting. And it's a CNN docuseries, so it's not, what some people might stereotype it to be.
There you go. And so next week we will be doing Do Not Forsake Me, Oh My Darling.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. So get caught up if you need to. As mentioned, don't forget to rate, subscribe, and the biggest, most important thing, just tell a friend, grab a friend, make a friend, and tell them about this. Because if you tell them about this, that means you tell them about Prisoner. Because why would they watch this without watching The Prisoner unless they really just love us? Which, if you do,
you're
great.
kind of cute, Phil. People might watch just for
Yeah.
you.
There you go.
We
get
can
some
have a
of those.
dating show after this.
Yeah.
That'll lower the bar.
Phil's going to be the next Bachelor.
Yep.
All right, thank you guys, and we'll be seeing you.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.